Caleb was talking about his father and how his father had inspired him and then sadly passed away. And Kate Humble came onto the stage and said, "Your father is not extinct. Your father has not passed away. He lives on in you, and he would be incredibly proud of what you've done." And the fact that the Whitley Award makes that possible for people to really live their dreams and make the world a better place for their parents and for their children, that was particularly touching.
So there wasn't really one moment, there was 6 moments. It was the 6 moments that we heard from the people who'd won those awards. We heard about where they'd been born, how they grew up, how they became inspired to conserve, and what the incredible things they've done since. So it was 6 moments that lasted 5 minutes each. It was amazing.
I mean, it's very difficult to pick one out in particular. I think that the standard of recipient for each of the awards was just incredible. I would like to pick out the award winner from Eastern Europe. I'm going to pick the red-breasted goose. I think the conservation work that he's doing is really, really cool, and I was very impressed.
What's really special about the Whitley Award is that it enables people who are based in the countries where there aren't resources readily available for conservation or for environmental action. Whitley and other local capacity building programs make it possible for people without the resources to really do extraordinary things for species and environments and habitats where work is really badly needed.
So what sets the Whitley Fund for Nature separate from every other charity you've ever heard of is you've never heard of it. And yet it's achieving incredible things with a relatively small budget, as charities go, really making an impact on the ground, doing incredible things. Fantastic, I love it.
I think what separates the Whitley Fund for Nature apart from other conservation organisations is the fact that they're supporting people on the ground who really understand the issues that they're dealing with in their environment, and they're able to engage the local people in their responses.
What sets them apart from other conservation charities is the fact that they will, rather than stepping into the breach themselves and doing the conservation work themselves, it's empowering communities, local communities in different areas around the world to do the work. And there's no better way of conserving biodiversity than empowering local communities to drive that themselves. It's brilliant.
I think what sets the Whitley Fund for Nature apart is just their drive and the breadth of, they're not focused on one particular nation or one particular animal or one particular style of project. They are interested in every single person and every single way in which conservation is employed in different nations, and I think that's so important. And it means that we have someone from Peru meeting someone from Nigeria, and they can exchange different conservation techniques and different ways of dealing with people and landscapes. And I think that building that kind of international wildlife community is incredibly important for the global conservation, rather than just direct approaches in different nations. And the fact that it's still so run by close-knit unit group and people is fantastic.
What was most inspiring about this evening is actually the way that the stories are communicated. So the Whitley Award winners have received a really special amount of support in terms of the Whitley team have given them the ability to tell their stories in a really empowering way. So they have really extraordinary videos, they have really special images, they have really special just snippets of their lives that the presentations this evening have transported people into the places where the projects are done. And that is really inspiring because it's so compelling.
I think I was most inspired by how hearing different stories and success stories of conservation. I think in the news every day we hear stories that are, depressing, and it's rare to hear such, powerful stories of real change, and seeing sort of how initiatives such as this can make such a big difference in maybe slightly small locations, but en masse are going to have large impacts, especially over time. I think the awards which are sort of giving money over a longer period of time are really, really powerful.
Most inspiring about this evening is seeing people who are so devoted for a cause that is much bigger than them. I think in our modern world we can be so self-obsessed with our own, progress within society and our own sort of personal development as the individual. And these people have relinquished to some extent these things to the power of a future of a beautiful animal that has touched them as a child, or a landscape which has held special places for them. So to have these kind of life experiences which can make you live your life in order to save something is truly inspiring, and it's something that we can all benefit from greatly, I think.
What I found most inspiring about this evening might seem like a strange answer, but I think when I realised that actually the sums of money that they were receiving were not that huge. When you think about corporate finance, the huge sums of money that are spent in the fashion industry, I work in the fashion industry, I think that we should be able to find a way to fund more people to be able to do this sort of vital conservation work, which is not actually costing that much money, and yet our actions are costing the planet.
So right now is a really important moment for global conservation because we are fighting an extinction crisis, and if we don't do anything right now, we're going to lose species which are incredibly unique. They're incredibly important for us, for what we need to live, for what our children need to live, what our children's children need to live. And we need to do something now. And what Whitley is doing something now. And without that immediate action, then we will lose really, truly extraordinary things that we need to survive, and that the planet really should not do without.
So if the question is, why is now the important moment for conservation? I think it's because we have multiple new threats. Plastic in the oceans, global warming, to name but two huge, massive issues. We've had all the others for ages, but these are two big ones. So I think this is the moment when people need to come together and really grip this issue, and everyone needs to get behind the Whitley Fund for Nature.
Right now is an important moment for global conservation because, it's in the news. It's in vogue. The Greta Thunberg from Sweden, the Extinction Rebellion protesters in the UK in particular. It's really in the spotlight. Conservation, climate change, the need for us to protect our planet, and I think that initiatives such as the Whitley Fund for Nature can be really, really powerful. Utilising this sort of good nature of people whilst it's in the public spotlight to really hammer home the importance of this work.
Now is such an important moment for conservation in the fact that it's shrinking, it's dying, and we have the icebergs melting, the sea levels are rising, the forests are being cut down, and we live in such a beautiful world, and to be losing that and to think that we are greater than that, we are just another species roaming this planet. We may be perhaps more evolved in the fact that we can communicate and we can pass down information between generations, but we are no better than any other species. So we must adopt this idea that we are simply another animal, and if we think we are worth saving, then all other animals are worth saving. So that's why it's so important right now to get involved with conservation.
Well, it's a completely desperate moment for global conservation. We absolutely have to pull together and do what we can. The scientists are telling us that things have reached the state where if we don't do something, we're not going to be able to, to return to where we were. There are going to be all sorts of global catastrophes, weather-wise, and that means environmentally wise. So really, we all have to pull together now and do absolutely everything we can to make some kind of difference, to make the world a better place, and to make sure that our children can see what we can see and can enjoy what we can enjoy.